Zoe, from your experience, what would you say to the family members who are directly affected with the person who happens to discover some type of cancer? It's a tough situation for everybody, obviously, and family members. A lot of times, parents get hurt more than the kid when something happens to the kid, and I keep hearing that over and over from my own parents and other parents. God willing, hopefully, will be a parent soon. And as a matter of fact, Zoe, on the 30th of this month, I'm getting married. And
Oh, fab.
yes, and I'm almost 33 myself. And in my culture, yeah, it's kind of considered I'm kind of late too. But
Yeah, don't worry
if you
about
ask me, yeah, if you ask me, I feel this is the most comfortable age to take this step, in my personal opinion.
it. Yes,
So
I
that was
agree.
just going back to the point you made in a previously, but coming back to the point of family members, you being the patient, being the cancer survivor, what kind of help would you say would be the most useful for close family members when they're going through difficult time?
So, I mean, everyone's different and everyone manages things very differently. So, um, there is. So for me, what I found is family members want to just make you better and take it away from you. But what I found is that, and I meet a lot of people say, "Oh, it's all right when we talk and stuff." But actually, what I found was, um, is I only told them what I think they needed to know. Like some things I might have kept from them because I didn't want to worry them or make them feel sad or whatever. And things did sort of pass in my mind sometimes. I used to think, if I get told that I'm terminal or something, then I might just go away and just like go traveling somewhere and just so they can't see the whole horror, the whole sort of tragedy of the whole thing and just let them just be by themselves. But
Hmm.
that wasn't going to be a very good idea. But I think as a relative, what I would say is give the patient the space, whoever it is who's ill, give them the space and they will tell you what they think that you need to know. But it is difficult because what will happen is often in families is if the family member isn't being updated, they will just make up their own scenario in their head, which is often incorrect or much worse than it actually is. So I think I did tell my parents quite a lot. And if there was good news, I would always, reassure them that there was good news. But I think it's difficult. I think it's a balancing act between telling them stuff so they're not making up their own negative scenarios, but only giving them stuff that they really need to know so they're not worrying unnecessarily. I think it depends what kind of relationship you have with your family, really. We're really close and we used to tell each other lots of, pretty much everything. So, but there were little bits that, I would keep because it really wasn't of no benefit to tell
Right.
people, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense, and thank you so much for that answer, Zoe. It makes total sense. I two things I got out of two main points that stood out to me the most. If I may repeat it back to you, correct me if I'm wrong. First one was give space to the person who is going through something. For give space to the patient, and that space will create room for them to express what they need and what's the best way of helping them. And the second was um, communication over assumptions. If you're keeping constant communication with the family members and everyone knows what the latest information is and possibly what we're hoping for, that's going to remove a lot of assumptions away from the person that is now receiving the updated information. But when the communication is missing, then the other person might start assuming and create their own reality, which a lot of times happens to be different from the reality that we're living. uh,
Yeah.
Very good.
And
Thank
I
you.
think also some people might want their family to go with them. So,
Mhm.
for me, my husband came to all my appointments, but interestingly, and of course I understood because I was medical, but I'm sure some things were discussed in those appointments that he hadn't got a clue about because he's not medical. But I think if you're happy for your relative to come to the appointment, then that's sometimes an opportunity for your relative to ask the medics questions. So in a way, as a patient, you're not having to give them that news. It's given to somebody else to give them that news. If the news isn't going to be great, then sometimes it's easier for an impartial person to give it, I think. So there's different ways of doing it. You know, if you have a scan or a test, then let people know, because I remember my father-in-law was ill and he would have like a test, and then we'd be waiting for the results all day, and then we wouldn't hear from them. We'd be like, oh my God, it must be terrible because we haven't heard from them. And actually, it was just because it got busy and they hadn't got around to calling us. But it's that kind of, you know, understanding on both parts that you just think